Hello, everybody. Welcome to Best Whole New World. Beautiful beloved is with us today for Journey to Awakening. I always feel like there needs to be a da 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 da, like some intro music after that.
Wait. We'll have some.
Okay. Journey to Awakening.
Or my teachers are right here. My little symbols.
Bing. Well, I love the fact that we've got the lovely greenery from Florida behind you.
I'm back in my Florida home. This is my meditation room. It's a solarium. It's all glass. And this in the back, this is my back garden. And I'm a certified habitat. So, yes, it's amazing. So, all my beautiful creatures are back there. I don't know if you can hear the fountain. I keep a little fountain right behind me.
A little bit.
And yeah, and my this is my place, my space, my place. So I'm glad to share it with you today.
That's good. And Mom is all good, so you're able to go back.
Yes, I was able to come back. I'll go back to Mama's this afternoon for a few days. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Yes.
Well, on this awakening journey, I'm really looking forward to what you have to share today because I have heard from many different sources and people this past week that they're experiencing many things.
Many things.
I think it's all good, but some others might need some encouragement.
I think that's very, very true. I know I came back into my home. This home has a name. It's Angel Song Sanctuary.
Beautiful.
And yeah, it's so beautiful. So I think of it as my sanctuary. And I think that many people are not feeling that they are in their sanctuaries right now. There's a lot going on. When really, this is my sanctuary, right? These are our temples. But then our environments. It's so important for our environments to be sacred space.
Yeah.
In any way that the person feels it's sacred, especially now, because the holidays are coming up. And the holidays, I think, for most faiths are coming up. And oh my goodness, people are beginning to feel into that.
Yeah.
And when the holidays come, it's like their expectations.
Oh,
The perfect, Norman Rockwell, which is an American painter, but
yeah.
that all the families are going to come together in beautiful ways, and everything is going to run smoothly, and the foods are going to be the most delicious anyone has ever tasted. Everything is coming out of the oven at the same time and on the table at the same time. Never happened for me. I don't know about you, but
Well,
so the energies are changing.
we have to remember, like, for instance, like at Christmas time, right? It is part of a representative of the solstice. So in here in the northern, you either have the light is shining brightest or the light is shining the dimmest.
Yes.
And so either way you want to look at it, it can shine light on things that maybe you didn't want to have there.
And that, so much of that is happening. And here we are still in Scorpio, right? Mm-hmm. And our shadows are coming up. Oh my goodness, the shadows are coming up everywhere. But what's so great, I think, is they're coming up, but they're coming into the light. And people are taking a look and saying, oh, wait a second. So instead of things being hidden,
Right.
they're coming to the light where we can use them, where we can work with them. in America, in the U.S., we have our Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks, and I have friends and family, and they're doing such a great thing. They're doing what they call Friendsgiving, so that they're doing um, this beautiful feast with their friends prior to with their families.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And some are doing it right after. And some of my friends whose families are in many different places are doing several feasts in different locations. And I don't know, maybe it's a time that people really need that. We need the togetherness, and family isn't always blood. I mean, I think that we choose our families, and I'm really blessed that I have an absolutely glorious family all the way down, from my grandparents to my grandchildren. Fabulous. But there's so many people that don't. So we create family out of our friends, which I also do, and it's a new understanding. And this time of year, it's been interesting because we are now, but November 8th, are we?
Yep.
Okay. But here's the thing. I don't know how it is where you are, and I know this isn't true probably in the South, but we already have Christmas decorations up. They went up November 1st. And
I think it's like that now in most of the world. It's like Halloween is over, or All Saints Eve, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's, we have actually, where I am right now, we have a little break. The Christmas is starting, but we're focused on Remembrance Day for November 11th, right? So there is that element that here, but this is a little special here on the island because there's so many people affected. But generally, it is exactly that. You watch the stores go from all being orange and black on Halloween to it's red and green the next day, and the Christmas music. And my favorite part, I have to admit, is I love still the Christmas movies. I like any Christmas movie. I like the fact that they go, oh, bah humbug, and then they go, oh, isn't this lovely? So on the Women's Channel, I know once November 1st hits, there's just one Christmas movie after the other. And I just hit the record button all the time, even though I don't watch all of them. But I'm like, hey, if I ever want a good movie that...
Oh, my God, that's so awesome. That is really cool. I did that in July. Sometime midsummer, I want to see a film, It's like, okay, I'm yearning for that. And I happen to love Christmas things. But it used to be only the craft stores because, we need to start early.
Yeah.
So the craft stores always were packed. But now I went to the mall, and I'm not a mall girl, but I had to go to Microsoft the other day. And I love the malls during the holiday season. I absolutely love them. I love the frenzy. I love the decorations. I love, love, love that. So I go into the malls then, and it's a treat for me. I'll go and I'll have, tea or coffee, and everybody is, most people are just so happy, and, there's just something lovely that I experience.
Mm-hmm.
But doggone, I went into the Microsoft store, and I went into the mall, and everything is up. And I tried to video it yesterday because it felt so good. I mean, it felt so good. There are not many people in the mall, but the decorations, and you could have your photo taken with Santa already. But I guess people are doing it for cards,
right?
Or to avoid the rush. I don't know, but it was crazy. So it's like all this time, and I've been doing Oprah and Dr. Chopra's meditation. I love doing them. I do them, three times a year. And I've been working on time. You and I have been talking about time. I'm getting ready to do a Facebook group and to do a holiday high vibe survival. That I hope that will be up next week. Isn't that cool? Yeah, Spirit came in and said, okay, here's the deal. People right now who like to live in their sanctuaries, who consider themselves high vibe, get caught up, just get caught up in all that stuff. Yeah. So we're inviting you to set something up on social media, a place that people can go for support and to share with one another some of their tips and what they do and how they keep those vibrations high. So it's all about that and about time. But what's so neat, I think, is I've been wanting to start a new journal. Mm-hmm. I'm a big journal person, and that's one of the things I always encourage people to do, keep a journal. But I also do art. So I've been doing a lot of art in my journal. So yeah, I have to show you this because it's so fun. So yesterday, I went to the store and I bought a blank journal, just a blank. But it has pages for mixed media. So this is my journal.
Right.
And on the back, see it says Believe. Mm-hmm. And then this is all my mixed media papers.
Oh, beautiful.
So I do all my pages like that. So then here's this morning's. But this was the statement for today. And I love this. And it fits what you and I do on here. Can you see this? Or is it backwards?
It's yeah, read it out.
What it says is, I play creatively in the field of time. So when we talk about these things, and you and I are always talking about time portals and the vibrations of the moon and the vibrations of the astrological signs and the vibrations of this, it's all about timing. So right. It's like, this is the time to be creative. A lot of people are missing their creativity. So one of the things that I invite people to do, especially now, is find a creative outlet for yourself. Now, you might not be an artist, you might not be a painter, you don't have to do it that way, but find something that's a creative outlet for yourself and see how you can make space for yourself every day to create, even if it's only 10 minutes. Just what stirs your soul, because we're all creative beings. Yeah. And even people will say to me, well, I'm not creative at all, I don't do art, I don't do music, I don't do any of that. Yeah, but I look at the work you do, and you're this amazing accountant. Yeah, that's not creative. Excuse me. And I'm not talking about being creative with your numbers. But, right. But problem solving, totally creative, So find something that stirs you that's creative every day, even if you have five minutes,
Yeah, just taking a moment now and deciding that you're creative, because I identified for a long time, and I'll still pop up occasionally and saying, I'm not the creative one, because I learned that I got graded art as satisfactory and everything else was above average, like way back when. And then it was only really last year that I had a total clearing, and I realized, oh my gosh, I create my life, right? Like, I've created this amazing life that I left the corporate, and I raised my kids differently. And everything that I've done, in a sense, I've created. Some of the creations I liked really well, and some creations I didn't. But that's the great thing, is you can paint over them, right? Like, you can refocus. And that's what we're doing. So when we're talking about holidays, many of us aren't intentionally creating, like the Friends Thanksgiving, right? You're letting the past already influence you and your expectation of what it's going to be. So either you're hoping for that Rockefeller, or you're going, oh, so and so is going to be there and I haven't talked to them, or they're going to, blah, blah, blah. And so you're actually painting or drawing a picture of what you really don't want. So maybe get rid of that one before you get to your Thanksgiving dinner, and there'll be a place for you to open up to something new.
Oh my God, that's such a great way to look at that. Absolutely. Painting and then it's gone. Redo it. Redraw. Color outside the lines, right?
Exactly.
But you always have to talk and sit next to your Aunt Matilda. Color outside the lines. So that's a beautiful way to look at it, because we do create.
Yes.
We create our lives. We create our happenings. And it's funny that people that say they're not artistic. I was always artistic. I was a designer.
Perfect.
But I was never a painter or an artist or anything like that. And I started painting maybe 12 years ago. No, I don't think that long ago. Maybe 11 years ago. I paint. I make jewelry.
Right.
I do all those things that I never did. So you don't know that you can't do that. I didn't know that I could sing other than my new age things.
Right.
But now I'm doing open mics and rock and roll and blues, and it's so fun. It's so fun. So we don't know who we are until we take our shackles off.
Yeah.
And until we try things.
Yeah, and it goes back to, it's like Ray Luskin and I have been talking about the healed heart, and using art in that respect. But it's remembering, like really getting present to what, as a spiritual, anybody that's listening here that feels you're the spiritual being having an experience, is what do you think you're really here for? In terms of kids come and they're playing and having fun in the experience. And yes, sand gets thrown in one of their faces, or they fall down and they scrape their knee, but it's like, okay, I'm back at it again. It's just an experience. And if we go back to what Beloved is talking about, like you see the joy she's talking about, I'm doing open mic and I'm rock and rolling, and like she's having fun. And when you're having fun, there's just an element of joy that bubbles up from your heart, my heart, and it exudes. And people go, well, it can't always be like that. Well, yeah, it can be, because it's that outlook. There might be a wind that blows by, but it's just like the kid falling down and scraping his knee. It's momentarily.
That's it.
It's momentarily. And it's back to, well, okay, let's play dress up now.
That's it. Yeah.
When I was like 12, I remember first getting the makeup club, right? And thinking, isn't that cool? But then I felt like I'm supposed to wear makeup, right? And then, after doing that for years and years, it became like I could not go outside without makeup, because that was who I was and that was the image. But in the beginning, it started out with an experiment, and then it became who I was. And then I had to go, that's not who I was. I'm just pretending. And I've forgotten who I am. And then you let go of it and you go, I still love me without makeup. Do you still love me, Beloved, without makeup?
Oh, yes. No, isn't it freeing? Oh my goodness, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
I grew up in California, finishing school, the whole thing. And I would not walk out of my door until I was absolutely done from head to toe. And we went to high school that way. I mean, we went to high school dressed to the nines.
Right.
And I never owned a pair of jeans. I never did, any of that. We have play clothes.
Right.
But they weren't jeans. They were play clothes.
Right.
And the makeup and the hair done and all of that. And I tell you what, the 60s came, I was
So done with that.
So free. Like, oh my God, jeans, no makeup. I can just let my hair go. Yes, I am loving this.
I'm in.
Freedom. So I believe that freedom is my word. Freedom, joy, and my other thing is with ease and grace. With ease and grace. So if we give ourselves that freedom, and no one can give it to us, no one can do it for us. Think of a bird in a cage. If you open the door to the cage, it's still up to the bird to come out or stay in. So I think that's a great gift that we can give ourselves. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a really, really big deal.
But today, the door of the cage is open.
Yes.
Okay, the shadow has come out from under the rock, the Scorpio, right? It's open. Now it's your opportunity to choose to whether or not you want to go out and experience a whole new world where you can trust and believe that you can have fun and play and ease and it can work to your advantage, or you're really still comfortable in your cage. Even though the door is open, the door will stay open and you can stay in your belief system and be completely comfortable with that, and that's okay if that's what you choose. But no, today we're letting you know the door is open.
Yes. That's a beautiful, beautiful way to do that.
I actually think right at this present there is this huge door, like a portal in that sense, when you talk about time portals, that is almost like a whatever you want to call it, a vortex, a portal, whatever. But it's a big, huge opening that you really do get to choose right now.
Absolutely.
You get to completely choose in a whole other way of, do you believe you can even have life better?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you so scared? Right? You're so attached to misery that you stay in the cage.
I have this belief that says every moment has the potential to be mystically full. And it's one of the old philosophers, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember now who said it. But every moment, see, we're always choosing.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we don't choose, that's a choice.
Yeah.
So staying in the cage is still a choice.
Yeah.
Coming out is still a choice. Or just, coming out partway, just, dipping your toe in the water is always a thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Test the waters. And this is a wonderful time to do that. It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful, it's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time of year. Astrologically, it's a beautiful time to start coming up, start coming out, and test that. And as you say, in this moment, the door is open. No more tethers. No more tethers. Will we choose to tether ourselves? And many people in the past have done that by repeating things, like repeating relationships.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship's exactly the same. The name might be different, but it's the same thing. Or work, always having the same work, which is really, that's kind of lovely. When someone leaves their work,
Mm-hmm.
then they find other work, and it may be the same but richer and fuller.
Right.
So it's always the choice. It's like life is a menu, and which things do you want?
And sometimes you order.
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks really good on the menu.
Yeah.
It like, wow, you have this image of what is being presented on the menu when you're at a restaurant, right? And you think, this has got to be great. You even ask the waiter or the waitress, is it? And they go, yeah, it's good. And you get it, and you're disappointed. You're disappointed. You're thinking, this is not what I thought it would be, you know? And you can, at the same token, sometimes you probably remembered, you've said, hey, you know what, this wasn't is, and they've replaced your meal, right? You still you don't have to go, oh, I shouldn't have made that decision, right? You just made a choice. It didn't necessarily work out. It's like the bird could leave the cage and turn around and fly into the window because it doesn't realize the window's there, and it drops, but it's okay. You know, it's okay. Just a little shaken up. Now, the bird can say, wow, man, I'm heading right back into my cage because with no windows like that, you know, I've never been hit like that before. But it could say, wow, you know what, I really like that space in between the cage and and that was fun. Maybe I can find more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is there's so much playground material just within.
Yes.
I mean, we're back to creating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. What was it? One of Dr. Seuss's books. Was it Cat in the Hat? Oh, the things I can think. And it's so true. I mean, we have playgrounds everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. The inner, the dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Some people stay in and they open up in other ways. And some people are really comfortable where they are, and that's great, you know. Yeah, that's great. But the door is open.
And I think that's what you were just saying is about you. It's okay if you're okay. If you're okay with where you are, that's okay. We're not saying, oh, if you're in a cage, you got to get out of the cage. Because if you're comfortable and you're happy, the issue is if you're unhappy or disgruntled being wherever you are, we're saying trust and believe. Find where you're guided. Allow yourself to step forward. That's what we're encouraging you to do. To create, to find that whatever makes you happy.
Yes.
But if you're happy, stay happy.
don't change it. Just share that happiness.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's a vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Those vibes. And when you're centered, when you're happy, when you're balanced, when you're in joy, you do so much for the world. Because that flows out from you. And when you go places, your smile, you know, just a smile can lighten up. I always make sure that I smile at people, I talk to people, especially in lines or in stores, or when there's a child that is not happy.
Yeah.
A child with a parent, especially little ones. And, my children were always happy, of course. All of them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know how that is, or at least how it was for me. I was caught between wanting to give my child space to experience and at the same time feeling like, oh my God, I'm in public. I have to do something.
Right.
I have to change this child's behavior now.
Right.
So when that happens, I go up to the parent and I'll say something wonderful about their child.
Right.
Oh my God, look at his blue eyes. Aren't those the most beautiful blue eyes you have ever seen? I bet he is so fun, you know? Or I'll say, oh, her smile looks like she might have a little mischief in her. I bet she's a delight. You must have such a good time, you know, playing together, being together, but always something like that.
Right.
And it's really rare that the parent doesn't step back and say, oh, well, thank you. And then all of a sudden you've tied that energy differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've brought them back into that love, to that honor, to that respect.
Mm-hmm.
of their little one. So, those are things that we can do that are so simple. And if we'll allow ourselves, now for some people that's a really hard thing to do. That's a cage that someone doesn't want to come out of. And I understand that too. Wait a second, it's not my business. Well, what if I make it worse? Or I'm intruding. Those sorts of things. So it's just fun looking at the ways we can experience and the way we can be out there in ways that are bringing harmony to our place.
Right.
And I think that's important as beings on the journey to awakening, to do that, to really do that. Another place that I find is difficult to come out is when you're with a group of friends and they start being, their conversation becomes really low energy. And I'm not talking about other people,
right.
but I'm talking about going over situations that they have in their lives. And I'm there for my friends, but some people will end up on a wheel that they don't get off of. Yes. And it's over and over and over. And at the end of your conversation, things have shifted, and then you see them the next time, or they call, and it's the same wheel. They're not making changes that are lasting. And it's so hard as a friend, because if we meet them in that place, Carolyn Mace talks about meeting people at their wounds. If we meet people at their wound, then we are increasing that wound. That's where we've come together. So now we're in that space of energizing, and we'll dig for that. If we're with someone and they say, oh my goodness, this is what's going on for me, then there's a tendency to dig down and see, okay, what fits, what can match, to come back and, oh my God, I know, and this is what's going on for me. So now what's happened is you created a wheel of woundedness. Instead of listening, exploring, I have this thing where I say, may I ask you something? Yeah. And then I'll ask something, so that the person can talk about what's going on for them. That's important, so they can speak, so they can experience.
You're so, I'm like, you're so nice, beloved. Because, okay, so I used to do that, meet them, whatever she's saying, like, you go down to that particular conversation. And then I realized that didn't work. Now I'm really clear, right? So I'm just kind of like, so do you want to stay in your story? Or are you looking for, help or transformation or removal? And if they go, they want to stay in your story, I go, great, you can have it. And I like, because to me, it's like, it's a ridiculous story, right? So that conversation about being with friends now and letting them stay in there, I feel I am dishonoring who they are. I've come to, for me, that is now my new set of being, is if I was to allow you to go into some dramatic story, it would be like, hold on, beloved, that is not who you are, right? So where did you pick up that energy? Like, are you wanting to click sort of thing? And if you don't want to clear it, you can go, and I said this to somebody the other day, I said, if you want to work through your experience and you want to transform it, call me. If you want to stay where you are and be in that energy, just call all your other friends.
I love it. Yeah. there are different ways to do it, right? We could all come out of our cages in different ways. But I guess the point is to be in the to be present in the conversation with someone. And you're very present, and you're also, I'm hearing it as boundaries, right? This is my boundary because I want you to be who you are. And, if we can go there together, that's awesome. If not, I'm not willing to be in that story with you. It doesn't serve. I mean, it just doesn't serve.
It's just, for me, it's that concept where before it's kind of like black or white, in that concept where for a lot of my years I was like, there's a lot of gray, and now it's like you're either walking through the door where you believe it's working to your highest and best good. Mm-hmm. So if you're sharing the story based on, this is what's happened to me, this is what's coming up, this is what I'm seeing, under that perspective, I'm all in, right? Because I'm there to help you move through it. But if you're taking an experience and throwing it back in and going, oh, I'm on the wheel, and oh, it's so and so or whatever, I mean, I go, there's a whole world out there that will jump into that story with you.
Yeah.
You can find millions of them. So go find those ones and hang out with them. But if you want to go into this one, call me up.
I'm your girl.
I'm your girl. It's even now sometimes when I work with people and I go, do you really believe it can happen this quickly, this shift? And people will go, no. Right? And I'm like, okay, so that's the next question. Why? What is coming to you that says, no, this can't, well, it's never happened like this before, right? So it's like, well, okay, so let's clear that one because it can. And then people are amazed at like, wow, that there's an energy shift. And by the way, we didn't say hi to Nelta, even though Nelta, we know you're there, and she was saying that was a great story and a share you were talking about with the kids and a great way to deal with the energy. I don't know if you see that comment or not.
Well, thank you. Thank you. There are all kinds of great things like that we can do. And if our purpose is to, the phrase, be the light, if we are to do that, mm-hmm. And for me, my understanding is that's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. Underneath everything is to be there. The other thing is be the change you wish to see. So being
exactly. That's why I can't go back to those stories anymore.
Well, there's a thing. I have a couple of friends that I've had forever, ever, mm-hmm. ever. And some of them go back in their story and go back in their story and go back in their story. So what I do with that, mm-hmm. I make a special place for that called family. Because when it comes to my family, mm-hmm. if they are in those places, then I am going to be there with them. I'm not going to be in their woundedness, but I'm not going to take myself out. So family for me has a very special meaning and a special tie. And I'm very different than most of the people in my family. They are not like me. So I also, being a Libra rising, I am a peacemaker. But being a double gem, not so much. So I have both, right?
Right.
We were talking before about mm-hmm. surviving the holidays.
Yes.
Holidays that are spent with family. If I know that there are particular things mm-hmm. that other people don't deal well with, I'm not bringing them up. Very different from 40, 50 years ago.
Intimate.
That's it. We will be talking about this. But So again, it's about meeting people where they are. And as long as there's nothing that I find offensive to me, or things that really have not crossed my boundaries,
Mhm.
then I don't care. Because when I'm with my family, I mean, I'm there to enjoy, and there's so much that we can share together. Not everything, but some things we really can. So that's the focus. I mean, that's the focus when I'm with them. Um, I have wonderful, wonderful grandchildren. Some of my children say, Mom, will you teach these things to my kids?
Right.
And some of my kids say, Mom, please
Stay away.
don't bring it up.
Yeah.
Just don't bring it up.
Right.
So I want to honor that as well,
Mhm.
but I won't not answer questions.
Right.
You know, um, one of my daughters, when her daughter was little, really brought her, and she would say, "Look, I don't care about any of this stuff." Because even when her friends would talk about my topics, she would say to them, "This doesn't interest me. Here's my mother's phone number." So, yeah. Um,
Right.
but she brought her daughter to me for certain things. She would say, "Okay, look, there's an aromatherapy class for 4-year-olds.
Right.
Will you please take her? Will you please teach her about the fairies and the angels? It's
Right.
going to be important to her at some point. I don't care about it. I don't think it's anything. But if she's going to learn, she ought to learn from the best." I mean, so we have that lovely, that really lovely understanding of who we each are, and don't trample that, but honor that. Really, really honor that. Um, and and it's that way with all of my family. We all have places that are joyful where we can meet.
Nelta has a question here. Okay. She says, so I'm doing my best here to okay, I'm gonna have to, how do I apply this to politics, especially for people who whose what country is going through some major challenges, so how do you, I'm gonna guess, if it's York, are we talking about Ireland? We're just talking about a country like the United States where Beloved's from, and when they're talking about challenges, I go, hey, it's all part of the experience. You're clearing out the closets, you've opened them up, and everybody gets to look at everybody's stuff, and it's all over the Thanksgiving table.
Yes. My thing is, I have a real thing with respect and honoring.
Okay.
I have my positions, and other people have theirs. And my family, I have 3 people in my family that are absolutely politically opposed to my position.
Okay.
And I am opposed to theirs, if we're going to use those words, right? But still, I think the thing is, and that I find in my family, because we have great political discussions, is to keep the emotion out and to stay what's there and really listen to the other person, so that you can say, wow, that is so different from me. So could you explain to me? I'd love to hear how you got to that, or what you see in it.
Right.
How do you see that? And really listen.
Yeah.
Really listen. I know social media is just crazy with politics, with hate, and with name calling. And I think encouraging discussion is wonderful, as long as you can stay respectful and honoring. They used to say that the 3 topics that were off limits: politics, religion, and what was the other one?
Sex.
Yeah.
What's there to talk about? No,
what else is there? Come on.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because I agree. Like, first Nelta was talking about Zimbabwe, which is her home country. So I guess back home she's got family that they're bringing up conversations. And if we, the whole idea is we ask for peace in the world.
Yes.
Right. So peace starts here first with ourselves, that we need to be able to be peaceful. And then we add another conversation like politics. And if we can keep our peace and appreciate what the other person is saying, we don't have to agree, but appreciate, like you said, what is it that you see, or what is it, and you might get a glimmer or a gem, a different perspective, but we give up the attachment to that we're a particular associated with a particular party, because once we're attached, there is a sense of disconnection from true spirit, because true spirit is possibility, right? In an infinite creation. So we don't, like I always say, for the highest and best good, like the highest and best good of the world. I want peace, but how that will come to be, I trust it's happening, even though it looks like in some cases it's not happening. So dialoguing with each other and being able to keep peace around the family table is a great step in the direction of having peace in the world. And if you can think about that when you sit down for Thanksgiving dinner, being grateful that you have a family, being grateful that you can have a discussion where you have varying perspectives. Absolutely. And maintain your peace and love for each other, then you are rippling that impact all around the world.
Absolutely. And I think when you do that, for me, if I find emotions getting because what happens is, I think it's the emotions get in, and that's where the peace goes away. Yeah. Maybe calling a timeout. Hey, timeout, timeout.
Dessert.
Another glass of wine, please. But just call a timeout for a minute, and just ask everyone to notice what do you notice going on right now. I mean, I love you. We're all friends and family here, but what do you notice going on right now? And see what happens. See what happens. Because when people are expressing this is what I've seen in my experience. When people are expressing things that are very important to them, they can fire up without realizing it. Mm-hmm. They don't even realize it. Right. So by calling a timeout, and in a nice way, raise your glass, do something, and do it in a nice way, then it's like, oh wow, yeah, didn't realize that. And then you can come back in the discussion, or not. Yeah. But do you remember when? I was a clinical hypnotherapist for years and years and years and years. And there used to be a technique of wearing a rubber band.
Oh, yeah. And you'd snap yourself every time you
And you'd snap it just to bring the awareness back. So it's kind of like that. That's what the timeout is. And then also ask people what they see as the same thing. Because usually when you're in discussions, when I'm in discussions like that, we're talking about our differences. Mm-hmm. So, okay, where are similarities in here? What is it that we all want? What's the bottom of what we want? There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it and maintain peace.
Yeah. One of the things we did, and I don't know if I talked about this with you or if it just somehow it came up, but it was recent, is because my kids were younger, and then we had, grandparents that were sitting around the table, and brothers, and my kids were raised really without media. Okay. So like they were in a whole other world. And yet my parents would be like totally, and my brothers would be totally into media, art, entertainment. So there would be this big, and you sit around the table, what they'd want to talk about. So what we came up with is we started to do games. So one of the things is everybody could play was we'd start a story. So I would whisper to you, beloved, or I wouldn't have to whisper to you, not like broken telephone. We tried that one too, but some of the older people were like, "What? What did you say?" which was fun, and that's that same thing. Is we just would say, so once upon a time, we're walking down the street and I found a dime. And then the next person had to pick up the story. Oh, I picked up the dime or whatever. And it just went around the table, and it would get silly and it would get funny. And we were doing something creative, which comes back to what we first started to talk about. And you were enjoying each other versus having all these other conversations that really you weren't going to solve anyways.
That's a fun way to do it. That's a really fun way. I also have something that we did, and we didn't do it at Thanksgiving, but we did it like at Christmas. I have a stained glass box, and we would open the box, and these were our blessed, I call it the blessing box.
Uh-huh.
And you'd open the box and speak your blessings, what you're grateful for, what you're thankful for, and then pass it to the next person. And then we would say that all of our blessings, all of our gratitude is in that box. And it's a lovely way to do that. We always go around anyway and what's something that you're grateful for. And that's a wonderful way to do it too.
I hope this is helping, Nelta, that we answered, because I have to apologize because it's a little challenging for me to read. But I think you're saying again is you want to stay without getting totally involved in the conversation. You wanted to know, and so we've given you a few different ideas.
Yes.
If you want to. If there's any last thing that you want to write, please do so now. But otherwise, we're going to carry on the conversation next week, because holiday season, family time, being grateful for everybody's blessings, that's what's coming up. And obviously, it's that also just people are feeling, if they're not celebrating American Thanksgiving, if you're in Europe, you're just noticing that it's autumn and things are winding down, and people are already starting to think about 2018. And I caution you just to come right back in here and say, you know what? It's only November 8th.
That's right. That's right. We saw
only November 8th, and everything can happen right now in this moment in time. Would you call it a magical, transcendent moment?
Yeah, each moment has the potential of being mystically full, which is so, so, so lovely.
So stay present to the moment, and the moments will work them way out as time goes by.
Yes, they will. I would like to go out with a card.
Okay.
If I may. This is my deck. This is my abundance deck.
Okay.
And it focuses on health, love, and wealth. So let's just pick a card and see what's here for us. So I usually have angel cards around, because we're usually in an energy of new moon, full moon, sign change. So let's see. Oh, this is a wealth card. I think this is really important for this time of year, because another thing that comes up is part of those expectations have to do with spending, right? And many people go beyond what might be in their best interest. So this is number 4, wealth. It is not the numbers of dollars one has that makes great wealth. It is the ability to have what is wanted and to give what is to be given. So it's not the number of dollars one has that makes great wealth. It's the ability to have what is wanted and to give what is to be given.
So just receive all that, knowing that everything that you possibly need is provided for you. Maybe for your highest and best good. Maybe not everything you want, because it might not be good for you, but everything you need. And trust that you'll be guided to spend your money wisely, and but realize that some of the best gifts have no monetary value at all, like a smile or a contribution of a kind word.
Absolutely. And as we see, it's tied in to giving, right?
Yeah.
It's a cycle. It's a continuous circle. The receiving and the giving. The coming in, the going out. The coming in, the going out.
So on this journey to awakening today, we've covered many different aspects, and I just feel like if you are going like this, we've said there, we can stop it, we can open the door to the cage, and you can journey like this if you want now. Whatever you feel comfortable with, and along the way, if you're stopping at the family table or the friends table, or you're gathering spring blossoms in Australia because you're in South Africa because you're realizing, wow, summer's coming. Wherever you are, whatever time space you are, remember at this moment in time, it's just this moment.
And fill it with love, respect, and honoring. Awesome.
As always, it's such a wonderful time talking with you, beloved. We could just continue this conversation. And so I hope that everybody's conversation at their tables, whether it's at Thanksgiving or Christmas or just a friendly gathering this weekend, is more loving and intentional for the world you wish to create.
I second that.
Mm.
Thank you.
I love you. Bye.
I love you. Bright angel blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.